You're still treated like you're in military boot camp for all intents and purposes, and technically a prison inmate. You know, there's rape, molestation. Like, we've seen our members get ripped in half and then just appear the next day because they throw them in the tanks. You know, they break you mentally, physically, emotionally. They have these stupid collars that back in the day were like that thick, that far of a band, and it had a green and a red light on. If you had your green light on, you were good. If you had your red light on, it's like 10,000 volts straight to your soul. I stayed longer because I don't like to conform a whole lot when people are trying to threaten me and, you know, just be jerks. So I've literally had my head cut off. I've been blown up. I've had, you know, weaponry, both guns and blades shoved through me at this camp. I have had physical abilities here, walking through objects, going incorporeal, basically, telepathy at random spurts, you know, being severely empathic, that sort of thing. When I'm activated, it gets a little bit more difficult. I have no problem of walking through walls or other objects. I can heal people pretty quickly. Just a general basis of energy manipulation for those who know what it is.
Or, oh.
So the DNA that I ended up getting spliced with, I have multiple. I have what most people would consider dragon, also draconian, Aryan, and two other what most people call elven species, just because they have pointy ears. That's human references, the only thing they can understand. You know, they're very ability oriented. So how old I am is very difficult because I do body swap, so I kind of die every other couple days. But as for my known existence,
they change you out with clone bodies?
Yeah. Basically just ET combat, if you're taken prisoner and tortured, anything of that scenario. And trust me, they took very much great pleasure in the torturing part of us. They did not spare any expense at all. Like I said, I've had my limbs ripped off. I've been raped and molested in ways that you probably couldn't even find on YouTube. Yeah, so it was not nice. Like, we were tortured on a daily basis. They were basically training us to be soldiers and really more physical combat oriented, to be fighting ETs who had abilities.
Well, usually we find that people that were troublemakers out there are highly targeted here. Do you feel like that's the case for you? Like, I mean, has your life been really difficult? Like, almost you try to move forward and almost everything fails?
Let's put it this way. I take 2 steps forward and I don't get my legs kicked out from under me. They get chopped off and I have to regrow them. I literally can't do anything here. And anyone who actually has known me for a while understands this.
I wanted to mention this because Tucker Carlson and Shannon Bream, who are high up at Fox News, were also really high up in ICC. So, so when we do our service off world, they promise us to give us cushy jobs to take care of us when we come back. So, but that's if you're loyal and you do everything you're told. Now, the people that don't do that, I mean, I guess a lot of the super soldiers are rebellious because we're treated like crap.
Well, all I know is back in the day, they have switched management ever since a certain blonde-haired president came in, Trump. He changed a lot of things in that government section. So our collars came off. We had a lot more rights restored to us. We stopped being treated as slave. Before then, the cabal basically ran the whole thing. You know, that's why we were treated so bad. If you did not pass Section 13's agenda or anything, they literally sold you off to the space human trade. The place that I was on the Mars base, they literally threw me and 4 other kids from Section 13 in cages with the collars shipped us off, and the next thing I know, we ended up waking up on Mars base. The first things I ever had encounters with were literally the Dracos, not Draconians, Dracos. They had no wings. And they just treated us like absolute shit. I'm sorry for the swearing, but it is necessary. Literally, I say I body hop a lot because unless they threw me into a tank, I was literally utterly destroyed. After putting me in the room with the spider holographic BS, that took me about a week to figure out that thing wasn't real. Other torturous devices, they would put this like tiara crown on you with these wires coming out and just torture your mind like completely and utterly. And then when that really didn't happen, like some of them look like that. I'd honestly have to say, and I hate to use movie references or references in general, for Draconians, the movie, was it Jupiter Rising or Jupiter Ascending? The Dracos in there almost gave me PTSD. Literally, I almost like choked on my water when I was drinking it because it was so lifelike in resemblance. And I'm like, I didn't know if you wanted a picture of those guys or not, but like literally they are almost a very spitting image. They come in different colors and varieties and everything, but they're that massive and that built for the Draconians. The Dracos are a little bit smaller and a little bit thinner and just as gnarly.
Okay, so how long were you in this particular scenario, stuck in the cage with the Draco?
For when we first arrived.
Yeah, I guess maybe. Yeah, sure.
I was at that base for 3 weeks before they kicked me out and sent me back. They literally put me there just to try and break me, and I guess the end part kind of worked. The last event that they did, there was like 4 or 5 Dracos in a circle, and they stripped all my clothes off. I was maybe 9, 10 years old, and they shoved me in the room, and these guys ripped me apart and ate me like alive. Seriously, this was not mind control. It wasn't illusion. You know, it was just pure everything. So I'm assuming they either threw me in a tank or I ended up getting a new body at that point in time, because I was out for like 2 days, and then I woke up in section 13 in one of the base areas on the floor in a cell. So
when you were on Mars or even in these projects, do you recall ever being put in front of a screen with subliminal messages popping up, and maybe a picture of a wolf or maybe the Queen of England or anything like that?
Sorry. It's funny. Nothing, just the Queen cracks me up in an agitated kind of way. But
did she participate in these projects?
I'm not entirely sure, nor am I at liberty to say. But yeah, so I have my theories, quote unquote, on some of them, but honestly, I have contracts, so I can't be breaking any of those.
Did they ever inject you with something to actually change your DNA, where you physically shapeshift from human to perhaps a reptilian or Draco type form? Because I know.
Well, when I have my full powers, I have the ability to shapeshift, though I don't use it very often because you can get lost in yourself if you have that natural ability, and it's not one that I practice very often. For me, they never really had to do that, so I am not 100% sure.
Okay. All right. And by the way, shapeshifting, the reptilians call it transmorphing.
You're still treated like you're in military boot camp for all intents and purposes, and technically a prison inmate. You know, there's rape, molestation. Like, we've seen our members get ripped in half and then just appear the next day because they throw them in the tanks. You know, they break you mentally, physically, emotionally. They have these stupid collars that back in the day were like that thick, that far of a band, and it had a green and a red light on. If you had your green light on, you were good. If you had your red light on, it's like 10,000 volts straight to your soul. I stayed longer because I don't like to conform a lot when people are trying to threaten me and, you know, just be jerks. So I've literally had my head cut off. I've been blown up. I've had, you know, weaponry, both guns and blades shoved through me at this camp. I have had physical abilities here, walking through objects, going incorporeal, basically, telepathy at random spurts, you know, being severely empathic, that sort of thing. When I'm activated, it gets a little bit more difficult. I have no problem of walking through walls or other objects. I can heal people pretty quickly. Just a general basis of energy manipulation for those who know what it is.
Oh.
So the DNA that I ended up getting spliced with, I have multiple. I have what most people would consider dragon, also draconian, Aryan, and two other what most people call elven species, just because they have pointy ears. That's human references, the only thing they can understand. You know, they're very ability oriented. So how old I am is very difficult because I do body swap, so I kind of die every other couple days. But as for my known
They
existence,
trained you out with clone bodies?
yeah, basically just ET combat. If you're taken prisoner and tortured, anything of that scenario, and trust me, they took very much great pleasure in the torturing part of us. They did not spare any expense at all. Like I said, I've had my limbs ripped off. I've been raped and molested in ways that you probably couldn't even find on YouTube. Yeah, so it was not nice. Like, we were tortured on a daily basis. They were basically training us to be soldiers and really more physical combat oriented, to be fighting ETs who had abilities.
Well, usually we find that people that were troublemakers out there are highly targeted here. Do you feel like that's the case for you? Like, I mean, has your life been really difficult? Like, almost you try to move forward and almost everything fails.
Let's put it this way. I take 2 steps forward and I don't get my legs kicked out from under me. They get chopped off and I have to regrow them. I literally can't do anything here. And anyone who actually has known me for a while understands this.
I wanted to mention this because Tucker Carlson and Shannon Bream, who are high up at Fox News, were also really high up in ICC. So, so when we do our service off world, they promise us to give us cushy jobs to take care of us when we come back. So, but that's if you're loyal and you do everything you're told. Now, the people that don't do that, I mean, I guess a lot of the super soldiers are rebellious because we're treated like crap. Well,
all I know is back in the day, they have switched management ever since a certain blonde-haired president came in, Trump. He changed a lot of things in that government section. So our collars came off. We had a lot more rights restored to us. We stopped being treated as slave. Before then, the cabal basically ran the whole thing. You know, that's why we were treated so bad. If you did not pass Section 13's agenda or anything, they literally sold you off to the space human trade. The place that I was on the Mars base, they literally threw me and 4 other kids from Section 13 in cages with the collars, shipped us off, and the next thing I know, we ended up waking up on Mars base. The first things I ever had encounters with were literally the Dracos. Not Draconians, Dracos. They had no wings. And they just treated us like absolute shit. I'm sorry for the swearing, but it is necessary. Literally, I say I body hop a lot because unless they threw me into a tank, I was literally utterly destroyed. after putting me in the room with the spider holographic BS, that took me about a week to figure out that thing wasn't real. Other torturous devices, they would put this like tiara crown on you with these wires coming out and just torture your mind like completely and utterly. And then when that really didn't happen, like some of them look like that. I'd honestly have to say, and I hate to use movie references or references in general, for Draconians, the movie, was it Jupiter Rising or Jupiter Ascending? The Dracos in there almost gave me PTSD. Literally, I almost like choked on my water when I was drinking it because it was so lifelike in resemblance. And I'm like, I didn't know if you wanted a picture of those guys or not, but like literally they are almost a very spitting image. They come in different colors and varieties and everything, but they're that massive and that built for the Draconians. The Dracos are a little bit smaller and a little bit thinner and just as gnarly.
Okay, so how long were you in this particular scenario, stuck in the cage with the Draco?
For when we first arrived.
Yeah, I guess maybe. Yeah, sure.
I was at that base for 3 weeks before they kicked me out and sent me back. They literally put me there just to try and break me, and I guess the end part kind of worked. The last event that they did, there was like 4 or 5 Dracos in a circle, and they stripped all my clothes off. I was maybe 9-10 years old, and they shoved me in the room, and these guys ripped me apart and ate me like alive. Seriously, this was not mind control. It wasn't illusion. You know, it was just pure everything. So I'm assuming they either threw me in a tank or I ended up getting a new body at that point in time, because I was out for like 2 days, and then I woke up in section 13 in one of the base areas on the floor in a cell. So
when you were on Mars or even in these projects, do you recall ever being put in front of a screen with subliminal messages popping up, and maybe a picture of a wolf or maybe the Queen of England or anything like that?
Sorry. It's funny. Nothing, just the Queen cracks me up in an agitated kind of way. But
did she participate in these projects?
I'm not entirely sure, nor am I at liberty to say. But yeah, so I have my theories, quote unquote, on some of them, but honestly, I have contracts, so I can't be breaking any of those.
Did they ever inject you with something to actually change your DNA, where you physically shapeshift from human to perhaps a reptilian or Draco type form? Because I know.
Well, when I have my full powers, I have the ability to shapeshift, though I don't use it very often because you can get lost in yourself if you have that natural ability, and it's not one that I practice very often. For me, they never really had to do that, so I am not 100% sure.
Okay. All right. And by the way, shapeshifting, the reptilians call it transmorphing, is at least what I was told.
Off, and the next thing I know, we ended up.
And then I wrote out the record of their petition and their supplication in regard to their spirits and the deeds of each one of them, and in regard to what they ask, that they should obtain absolution and forbearance. And I went and sat down by the waters of Dan, in Dan, which is southwest of Hermon, and I read out the record of their petition until I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions fell upon me, and I saw a vision of wrath, that I should speak to the sons of heaven and reprove them. And I woke up and went to them, and they were all sitting gathered together as they mourned, in Ubazael, which is between Lebanon and Sinir, with their faces covered. And I spoke in front of them all the visions that I had seen in my sleep, and I began to speak these words to reprove the watchers of heaven. This book is the word of righteousness and of reproof for the watchers who are from eternity, as the Holy and Great One commanded in that vision. I saw in my sleep what I will now tell, with the tongue of flesh and with my breath, which the Great One has given men in the mouth, so that they might speak with it and understand with the heart. As he has created and appointed men to understand the word of knowledge, so he created and appointed me to reprove the watchers, the sons of heaven. And I wrote out your petition, but in my vision thus it appeared, that your petition would not be granted to you for all the days of eternity, and complete judgment has been decreed against you, and you will not have peace. And from now on you will not ascend into heaven for all eternity, and it has been decreed that you will be bound on earth for all the days of eternity. And before this you will have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and you will not be able to enjoy them, but they will fall before you by the sword. And your petition will not be granted in respect of them, or in respect of yourselves. And while you weep and supplicate, you do not speak a single word from the writings which I have written. And the vision appeared to me as follows. Behold, clouds called me in the vision, and mists called me, and the path of the stars and flashes of lightning hastened me and drove me. And in the vision winds caused me to fly, and hastened me, and lifted me up into the sky. And I proceeded until I came near a wall which was made of hailstones, and a tongue of fire surrounded it. And it began to make me afraid. And I went into the tongue of fire and came near to a large house, which was built of hailstones, and the wall of that house was like a mosaic of hailstones, and its floor was snow. Its roof was like the path of the stars and flashes of lightning, and among them was fiery cherubim, and their sky was like water. And there was a fire burning around its wall, and its door was ablaze with fire. And I went into that house, and it was as hot as fire and as cold as snow, and there was neither pleasure nor life in it. Fear covered me, and trembling took hold of me. And as I was shaking and trembling, I fell on my face. And I saw in the vision, and behold, another house which was larger than the former, and all its doors were open before me, and it was built of a tongue of fire. And in everything it so excelled in glory and splendor and size, so that I am unable to describe to you its glory and its size. And its floor was fire, and above lightning and the path of the stars, and its roof also was a burning fire. And I looked, and I saw in it a high throne, and its appearance was like ice, and its surrounds like the shining sun and the sound of cherubim. And from underneath the high throne there flowed out rivers of fire, so that it was impossible to look at it. And he who is great in glory sat upon it. And his raiment was brighter than the sun, and whiter than any snow. And no angel could enter. And at the appearance of the face of him who is honored and praised, no creature of flesh could look. A sea of fire burnt around him, and a great fire stood in front of him, and none of those around him came near to him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, but he needed no holy counsel. And the holy ones who were near to him did not leave by night or day, and did not depart from him. And until then I had a covering on my face, as I trembled. And the Lord called me with his own mouth, and said to me, Come here, Enoch, to my holy word. And he lifted me up and brought me near to the door, and I looked with my face down. And he answered me, and he said to me with his voice, Hear, do not be afraid, Enoch, you righteous man and scribe of righteousness, come here and hear my voice. And go say to the watchers of heaven who sent you to petition on their behalf, you ought to petition on behalf of men, not men on behalf of you. Why have you left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and become unclean with the daughters of men, and taken wives for yourselves, and done as the sons of the earth, and begotten giant sons? And You were spiritual, holy, living an eternal life, but you became unclean upon the women, and begot children through the blood of flesh, and lusted after the blood of men, and produced flesh and blood, as they do, who die and are destroyed. And for this reason I give men wives, so that they might sow seed in them, and so that children might be born by them, so that deeds might be done on the earth. But you formerly were spiritual, living an eternal, immortal life for all the generations of the world. For this reason I do not arrange wives for you, because the dwelling of the spiritual ones is in heaven. And now the giants who were born from body and flesh will be called evil spirits on the earth, and on the earth will be their dwelling. And evil spirits came out from their flesh, because from above they were created. From the holy watchers was their origin and first foundation. Evil spirits they will be on earth, and spirits of the evil ones they will be called. And the dwelling of the spirits of heaven is heaven, but the dwelling of the spirits of the earth who were born on the earth is earth. And the spirits of the giants do wrong, are corrupt, attack, fight, break on the earth, and cause sorrow. And they eat no food, do not thirst, and are not observed. And these spirits will rise against the sons of men and against the women, because they came out of them during the days of slaughter and destruction. In the death of the giants, wherever the spirits have gone out from their bodies, their flesh will be destroyed before the judgment. Thus they will be destroyed until the day of the great consummation is accomplished, upon the great age, upon the watchers and the impious ones. And now to the watchers, who sent you to petition on their behalf, who were formerly in heaven. You were in heaven, but its secrets had not yet been revealed to you, and a worthless mystery you knew. This you made known to women in the hardness of your hearts, and through this mystery the women and the men cause evil to increase on the earth. Say to them, therefore, you will not have peace. And they took me to a place where they were like burning fire, and when they wished, they made themselves look like men. And they led me to a place of storm, and to a mountain, the tip of whose summit reached to heaven. And I saw lighted places, and thunder in the outermost ends, in its depths a bow of fire, and arrows and their quivers, and a sword of fire, and all the flashes of lightning. And they took me to the water of life, as it is called, and to the fire of the west, which receives every setting of the sun. And I came to a river of fire, whose fire flows like water, and pours out into the great sea, which is towards the west. And I saw all the great rivers, and I reached the great darkness, and went where all flesh walks. And I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter, and the place where the water of all the deeps pours out. And I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth, and the mouth of the deep. And I saw the storehouses of all the winds, and I saw how with them he has adorned all creation, and I saw the foundations of the earth. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth, and I saw the four winds which support the earth and the sky. And I saw how the winds stretched out the height of heaven, and how they positioned themselves between heaven and earth. They are the pillars of heaven. And I saw the winds which turned the sky, and caused the disk of the sun and all the stars to set. And I saw the winds on the earth which support the clouds, and I saw the paths of the angels. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of heaven above. And I went towards the south, and it was burning day and night, where there were 7 mountains of precious stones, 3 towards the east and 3 towards the south. And those towards the east were of colored stone, and one was of pearl, and one was of healing stone, and those towards the south of red stone. And the middle one reached to heaven, like the throne of the Lord, of stibium, and the top of the throne was of sapphire. And I saw a burning fire in what was in all the mountains, and I saw a place there beyond the great earth. There the waters gathered together. And I saw a deep chasm of the earth with pillars of heavenly fire, and I saw among them fiery pillars of heaven, which were falling, and as regards both height and depth they were immeasurable. And beyond this chasm I saw a place, and it had neither the sky above it, nor the foundation of earth below it. There was no water on it and no birds, but it was a desert place. And a terrible thing I saw there, 7 stars like great burning mountains, and like a spirit questioning me, the angel said, "This is the place of the end of heaven and earth. This is the prison for the stars of heaven and the host of heaven. And the stars which roll over the fire, these are the ones which transgressed the command of the Lord from the beginning of their rising, because they did not come out at their proper times. And he was angry with them and bound them until the time of the consummation of their sin in the year of mystery." And Uriel said to me, "The spirits of the angels who were promiscuous with women will stand here, and they, assuming many forms, made men unclean and will lead men astray so that they sacrifice to demons as gods. And they will stand there until the great judgment on which they will be judged, so that an end will be made of them, and their wives, having led astray the angels of heaven, will become peaceful. And I, Enoch, alone saw the sight, the ends of everything, and no man has seen what I have seen. His offspring perish. And these are the names of the holy angels who kept watch. Uriel, one of the holy angels, namely the holy angel of the spirits of men. Raguel, one of the holy angels who takes vengeance on the world and on the lights. Michael, one of the holy angels, namely the one put in charge of the best part of humankind, in charge of the nation. Sarakel, one of the holy angels, who is in charge of the spirits of men who cause the spirits to sin. Gabriel, one of the holy angels, who is in charge of the serpents and the garden and the cherubim. And I went round to a place where nothing was made, and I saw a terrible thing, neither the high heaven nor the firm ground, but a desert place, prepared and terrible. And there I saw 7 stars of heaven bound on it together, like great mountains, and burning like fire. Then I said, "For what sin have they been bound, and why have they been thrown here?" And Uriel, one of the holy angels, who was with me and led me, spoke to me and said, "Enoch, about whom do you ask? About whom do you inquire, ask, and care? These are some of the stars which transgress the command of the Lord Most High, and they have been bound here until 10,000 ages are completed, the number of days of their sin." And from there I went to another place, more terrible than this. And I saw a terrible thing. There was a great fire there, which burnt and blazed, and the place had no cleft reaching into the abyss, full of great pillars of fire, which were made to fall. Neither its extent nor its size could I see, nor could I see its source. Then I said, "How terrible this place is, and how painful to look at." Then Uriel, one of the holy angels, who was with me, answered me. He answered me and said to me, "Enoch, why do you have such fear and terror because of this terrible place and before this pain?" And he said to me, "This place is the prison of the angels, and there they will be held forever." And from there I went to another place, and he showed me in the west a large and high mountain, and a hard rock, and 4 beautiful places. And inside it was deep, wide, and very smooth. How smooth is that which rolls, and deep and dark to look at. Then Raphael, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered me and said to me, "These beautiful places are there so that the spirits, the souls of the dead, might be gathered into them. For them they were created, so that here they might gather the souls of the sons of men. And these places they made, where they will keep them until the day of judgment, and until their appointed time, and that appointed time will be long, until the great judgment comes upon them. And I saw the spirits of the sons of men who were dead, and their voices reached heaven and complained. Then I asked Raphael, the angel who was with me, and said to him, Who is this spirit, whose voice thus reaches heaven and complains? And he answered me and said to me, saying, This spirit is the one that came out of Abel, whom Cain his brother killed. And he will complain about him until his offspring are destroyed from the face of the earth, and from amongst the offspring of men his offspring perish. Then I asked about him, and about judgment on all. And I said, Why is one separated from another? And he answered me and said to me, These 3 places were made in order that they might separate the spirits of the dead, and thus the souls of the righteous have been separated. This is the spring of water, and on it the light. Likewise, a place has been created for sinners when they die, and are buried in the earth, and judgment has not come upon them during their life. And here their souls will be separated for this great torment, until the great day of judgment and punishment and torment for those who curse forever, and of vengeance on their souls. And there he will bind them forever. Verily he is from the beginning of the world. And thus a place has been separated for the souls of those who complain and give information about their destruction, about when they were killed in the days of the sinners. Thus a place has been created for the souls of men who are not righteous, but sinners, accomplished in wrongdoing, and with the wrongdoers will be their lot. But their souls will not be killed on the day of judgment, nor will they rise from here. Then I blessed the Lord of glory and said, Blessed be my Lord, the Lord of glory and righteousness, who rules everything forever. And from there I went to another place, towards the west, to the ends of the earth. And I saw a fire that burnt and ran without resting or ceasing from running, by day or by night, but continued in exactly the same way. And I asked, saying, What is this which has no rest? Then Raguel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered me and said to me, The burning fire, whose course you saw towards the west, is the fire of all the lights of heaven. And from there I went to another place of the earth, and he showed me a mountain of fire that blazed day and night. And I went towards it and saw 7 magnificent mountains, and all were different from one another, and precious and beautiful stones, and all were precious, and their appearance glorious, and their form was beautiful. 3 towards the east, 1 fixed firmly on another, and 3 towards the south, 1 on another, and deep and rugged valleys, no one of which was near another. And there was a 7th mountain in the middle of these, and in their height they were all like the seat of a throne, and fragrant trees surrounded it. And there was among them a tree such as which I have never smelt, and none of them or any others were like it. It smells more fragrant than any fragrance, and it leaves and it flowers, and its wood never wither. Its fruit is good, and its fruit is like bunches of dates on a palm. And then I said, Behold, this beautiful tree, beautiful to look at, and pleasant are its leaves, and its fruit very delightful in appearance. And then Michael, one of the holy and honored angels who was with me, and was in charge of them, answered me and said to me, Enoch, why do you ask me about the fragrance of this tree, and why do you inquire to learn? Then I, Enoch, answered him, saying, I wish to learn about everything, but especially about this tree. And he answered me, saying, This high mountain which you saw, whose summit is like the throne of the Lord, is the throne where the holy and great one, the Lord of glory, the eternal King, will sit when he comes down to visit earth for good. And this beautiful and fragrant tree, and no creature of flesh has authority to touch it until the great judgment, when he will take vengeance on all and bring everything to a consummation forever. This will be given to the righteous and the humble. From its fruit life will be given to the chosen. Towards the north it will be planted in a holy place by the house of the Lord, the eternal King. Then they will rejoice and joy and be glad in the holy place. They will each draw the fragrance of it into their bones, and they will live a long life on earth, as your fathers lived. And in their days sorrow and pain and toil and punishment will not touch them. Then I blessed the Lord of glory, the eternal King, because he has prepared such things for righteous men, and has created such things, and said that they are to be given to them. And from there I went to the middle of the earth, and saw a blessed, well-watered place which had branches which remained alive, and sprouted from a tree which had been cut down. And there I saw a holy mountain, and under the mountain, to the east of it, there was water, and it flowed towards the south. And I saw towards the east another mountain, which was of the same height, and between them there was a deep and narrow valley, and in it a stream ran by the mountain. And to the west of this one was another mountain, which was lower than it was and not high, and under it there was a valley between them. And there were other deep and dry valleys at the end of the 3 mountains, and all the valleys were deep and narrow of hard rock, and trees were planted on them. And I was amazed at the rock, and I was amazed at the valley. I was very much amazed. Then I said, "What is the purpose of this blessed land, which is completely full of trees, and of this accursed valley in the middle of them?" Then Raphael, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered me and said to me, "The accursed valley is for those who are cursed forever, and will be gathered together all who speak with their mouths against the Lord, words that are not fitting, and say hard things about his glory. Here they will gather them together, and here will be their place of judgment. And in the last days there will be the spectacle of the righteous judgment upon them in front of the righteous forever. For here the merciful will bless the Lord of glory, the eternal King. And in the days of the judgment on them they will bless him, on account of his mercy, according as he has assigned to them their lot. Then I myself blessed the Lord of glory. I addressed him, and I remembered his majesty, as was fitting. And from there I went towards the east, to the middle of the mountain of the wilderness, and I saw only desert. But it was full of trees from the seed, and water gushed out over it from above. The torrent, which flowed towards the northeast, seemed copious, and from all sides there went up spray and mist. And I went to another place away from the wilderness. I came near to the east of this mountain, and there I saw trees of judgment, especially vessels of fragrance of incense and myrrh, and the trees were not alike. And above it, above these, above the mountains of the east, and not far away, I saw another place, valleys of water, like which does not fail. And I saw a beautiful tree, and its fragrance was like that of the mastic. And by the banks of these valleys I saw fragrant cinnamon, and beyond those valleys I came towards the east. And I saw another mountain on which there were trees, and there flowed out water, and there flowed out from it, as it were, a nectar whose name is styrax and galbanum. And beyond this mountain I saw another mountain, and on it there were aloe trees, and those trees were full of a fruit, which is like an almond, and is hard. And when they take this fruit, it is better than any fragrance. And after these fragrances, to the north, as I looked over the mountains, I saw 7 mountains full of fine nard and fragrant trees of cinnamon and pepper. And from there I went over the summits of those mountains, far away to the east, and I went over to the Red Sea, and I was far from it, and I went over the angel Zotiel. And I came to the garden of righteousness, and I saw beyond those trees many large trees growing there, sweet-smelling, large, very beautiful and glorious, the trees of wisdom, from which they eat and know great wisdom. And it is like the carob tree, and its fruit is like bunches of grapes on a vine, very beautiful, and the smell of this tree spreads and penetrates afar. And I said, "This tree is beautiful. How beautiful and pleasing its appearance." And the holy angel Raphael, who was with me, answered me and said to me, "This is the tree of wisdom, from which your ancient father and ancient mother, who were before you, ate and learnt wisdom, and their eyes were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they were driven from the garden." And from there I went to the ends of the earth, and I saw there large animals, each different from the other, and also birds, which differed in form, beauty, and call, each different from the other. And to the east of these animals I saw the ends of the earth, on which heaven rests, and the open gates of heaven. And I saw how the stars of heaven come out, and counted the gates out of which they come, and wrote down all their outlets, for each one individually according to their number, and their names according to their constellations, their positions, their times, and their months, as the angel Uriel, who was with me, showed me. And he showed me everything, and wrote it down, and also their names he wrote down for me, and their laws and their functions. And from there I went towards the north, to the ends of the earth, and there I saw a great and glorious wonder at the ends of the whole earth. And there I saw 3 gates of heaven. Through each of them north winds go out. When they blow, there is cold, hail, hoarfrost, snow, fog, and rain. And from one gate it blows for good, but when they blow through the other two gates, it is with force, and it brings torment over the earth, and they blow with force. And from there I went towards the west, to the ends of the earth, and I saw there, as I saw in the east, 3 open gates, as many gates and as many outlets. And from there I went towards the south, to the ends of the earth, and there I saw 3 gates of heaven open, and the south wind, the mist, and the rain, and the wind came out from there. And from there I went towards the east of the ends of heaven, and there I saw the 3 eastern gates of heaven open, and above them there were smaller gates. Through each of these smaller gates the stars of heaven pass, and go towards the west, on the path that has been shown to them. And when I saw, I blessed, and I will always bless the Lord of glory, who has made great and glorious wonders, so that he might show the greatness of his work to his angels and to the souls of men, so that they might praise his work, and so that all his creatures might see the work of his power, and praise the great work of his hands, and bless him forever. The second vision that he saw, the vision of wisdom, which Enoch, the son of Jared, the son of Malalel, the son of Canaan, the son of Enosh, the son of Seth, the son of Adam, saw. And this is the beginning of the words of wisdom, which I raised my voice to speak and say, to those who dwell on dry ground, hear, you men of old, and see those who come after the words of the Holy One, which I will speak in front of the Lord of spirits. It would have been better to have said these things before, but from those who come after we will not withhold the beginning of wisdom. Until now there has not been given by the Lord of spirits such wisdom as I have received, in accordance with my insight, in accordance with the wish of the Lord of spirits, by whom the lot of eternal life has been given to me. And the 3 parables were imparted to me, and I raised my voice, and said to those who dwell on the dry ground. The first parable. When the community of the righteous appears, and the sinners are judged for their sins and are driven from the face of the dry ground. And when the righteous one appears in front of the chosen righteous, whose works are weighed by the Lord of spirits, and when light appears to the righteous and chosen who dwell on the dry ground, where will be the dwelling of the sinners? And where will be the resting place of those who denied the Lord of spirits? It would have been better for them if they had not been born. And when the secrets of the righteous are revealed, the sinners will be judged, and the impious driven from the presence of the righteous and the chosen. And from then on, those who possess the earth will not be mighty and exalted, nor will they be able to look at the face of the holy ones, for the light of the Lord of the spirits will have appeared on the face of the holy, the righteous, and the chosen. And the mighty kings will at that time be destroyed and given into the hand of the righteous and the holy. And from then on no one will be able to seek the Lord of spirits, for their life will be at an end. And it come to pass in these days that the chosen and holy children will come down from the high heavens, and their offspring will become one with the sons of men. In those days Enoch received books of indignation and anger, and books of tumult and confusion, and there will be no mercy for them, says the Lord of spirits. And at that time clouds and a storm wind carried me off from the face of the earth, and set me down at the end of heaven. And there I saw another vision, the dwelling of the righteous and the resting places of the holy. There my eyes saw their dwelling with the angels, and their resting places with the holy ones. And they were petitioning and supplicating and praying on behalf of the sons of men. And righteousness like water flowed in front of them, and mercy like dew on the ground. Thus it is among them forever and ever. And in those days my eyes saw the place of the chosen ones of righteousness and faith. And there will be righteousness in their days, and the righteous and chosen will be without number in front of him forever and ever. And I saw their dwelling under the wings of the Lord of spirits, and all the righteous and chosen shone in front of him, like the light of fire, And their mouths were full of blessing, and their lips praised the name of the Lord of spirits. And righteousness will not fail in front of him. The truth will not fail in front of him. There I wished to dwell, and my soul longed for that dwelling. There had my lot been assigned before, for thus it was decided about me in front of the Lord of spirits. And in those days I praised and exalted the name of the Lord of spirits with blessing and praise, for he has destined me for blessing and praise in accordance with the Lord of spirits. And for a long time my eyes looked at that place, and I blessed him and praised him, saying, Blessed is he, and may he be blessed from the beginning and forever. And in his presence there is no end. He knew before the world was created what the world would be, even for all the generations that are to come. Those who do not sleep bless you, and they stand before your glory and bless and praise and exalt, saying, Holy, 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 Lord of spirits. He fills the earth with spirits. And there my eye saw all those who do not sleep standing in front of him and blessing and saying, Blessed are you, and blessed is the name of the Lord forever and ever. And my face was transformed until I was unable to see. And after this I saw 1,000 thousands and 10,000 times 10,000, a multitude beyond number or reckoning, who stood in front of the glory of the Lord of spirits. I looked, and on the four sides of the Lord of spirits I saw 4 figures, different from those who were standing. And I learnt their names, because the angel who went with me made known their names, and showed me all the secrets. And I heard the voices of those 4 figures as they sang praises in front of the Lord of glory. The first voice blesses the Lord of spirits forever and ever. The second voice I heard blessing the chosen one, and the chosen who depend on the Lord of spirits. And the third voice I heard petitioned and prayed on behalf of those who dwell on dry ground, and supplicate in the name of the Lord of spirits. And the fourth voice I heard driving away the Satans, and not allowing them to come in front of the Lord of spirits to accuse those who dwell on the high ground. And after this I asked the angel of peace who went with me, and showed me everything which is secret. Who are those 4 figures whom I have seen, and whose words I have heard and written down? And he said to me, The first one is the holy Michael, the merciful and long-suffering. And the second, who is in charge of all the diseases and in charge of all the wounds of the sons of men, is Raphael. And the third, who is in charge of all the powers, is the holy Gabriel. And the fourth, who is in charge of repentance and hope of those who will inherit eternal life, is Phanuel. And these are the 4 angels of the Lord Most High, and the 4 voices that I heard in those days. And after this I saw all the secrets of heaven, and how the kingdom is divided, and how the deeds of men are weighed in the balance. There I saw the dwelling of the chosen in the resting places of the holy, and my eyes saw there were all the sinners who deny the name of the Lord of spirits being driven from there. And they dragged them off, and they were not able to remain because of the punishment that went out from the Lord of spirits. And there my eyes saw the secrets of the flashes of lightning and of the thunder, and the secrets of the winds, and how they are distributed in order to blow over the earth, and the secrets of the clouds, and of the dew. And there I saw from where they go out in that place, and how from there the dust of the earth is saturated. And there I saw closed storehouses from which the winds are distributed, and the storehouse of the hail, and the storehouse of the mist, and the storehouse of the clouds. And its cloud remained over the earth from the beginning of the world. And I saw the chambers of the sun and the moon, where they go out, and where they return, and their glorious return, and how one is more honored than the other is, and their magnificent course, and how they do not leave their course, neither adding nor subtracting from their course, and how they kept faith in one another, observing their oath. And the sun goes out first, and completes its journey at the command of the Lord of spirits, and his name endures forever and ever. And after this is the hidden and visible path of the moon, and it travels the course of its journey in that place by day and by night. One stands opposite the other in front of the Lord of spirits, and they give thanks and sing praise, and do not rest, because their thanksgiving is like rest to them. For the shining sun makes many revolutions, for a blessing and for a curse. And the path of the journey of the moon is for the righteous light, but for the sinners darkness. In the name of the Lord, who has created a division between light and darkness, and has divided the spirits of men, and has established the spirits of the righteous, in the name of his righteousness. For no angel hinders, and no power is able to hinder, because the judge sees them all, and judges them all himself. Wisdom found no place where she could dwell, and her dwelling was in heaven. Wisdom went out in order to dwell among the sons of men, but did not find a dwelling. Wisdom returned to her place and took her seat in the midst of the angels. And iniquity came out from her chambers. Those whom she did not seek she found, and dwelt among them, like rain in the desert, and like dew on the parched ground. And again I saw flashes of lightning and the stars of heaven, and I saw how he called them all by their names, and they obeyed him. And I saw the balance of righteousness, how they are weighed according to their light, according to the width of their areas, and the day of their appearing, and how their revolutions produce lightning. And I saw their revolutions according to the number of the angels, and how they kept faith with one another. And I asked the angel who went with me and showed me what is secret, "What are these?" And he said to me, "Their likeness the Lord of spirits has shown to you. These are the names of the righteous who dwell on the dry ground and believe in the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever." And other things I saw concerning lightning, how some of the stars rise and become lightning, but cannot lose their form. And this is the second parable, about those who deny the name of the dwelling of the holy ones and of the Lord of spirits. They will not ascend into heaven, nor will they come upon the earth. Such will be the lot of the sinners who deny the name of the Lord of spirits, who will thus be kept for the day of affliction and distress. On that day the chosen one will sit on the throne of glory and will choose their works, and their resting places will be without number, and their spirits within them will grow strong when they see my chosen one and those who appeal to my holy and glorious name. And on that day I will cause my chosen one to dwell among them, and I will transform heaven and make it an eternal blessing and light. And I will transform the dry ground and make it a blessing, and I will cause my chosen ones to dwell upon it. But those who commit sin and evil will not tread upon it. For I have seen and have satisfied with peace my righteous ones, and have placed them in front of me. But for the sinners my judgment draws near, so that I may destroy them from the face of the earth. And there I saw one who had a head of days, and his head was white like wool. And with him there was another whose face had the appearance of a man, and his face was full of grace like one of the holy angels. And I asked one of the holy angels who went with me and showed me all the secrets about that Son of Man, who he was, and from where he was, and why he went with the head of days. And he answered me and said to me, "This is the Son of Man who has righteousness, and with whom righteousness dwells. He will reveal all the treasures of that which is secret, for the Lord of spirits has chosen him. And through uprightness his lot has surpassed all others, in front of the Lord of spirits forever. And this Son of Man, who you have seen, will rouse the kings and the powerful from their resting places, and the strong from their thrones, and will loose the reins of the strong, and will break the teeth of the sinners. And he will cast down the kings from their thrones and from their kingdoms, for they do not exalt him, and do not praise him, and do not humbly acknowledge from where their kingdom was given to them. And he will cast down the faces of the strong, and shame will fill them, and darkness will be their dwelling, and worms will be their resting place. And they will have no hope of rising from their resting places, for they do not exalt the name of the Lord of spirits. And these are they who judge the stars of heaven, and raise their hands against the Most High, and trample upon the dry ground, and dwell upon it. And all their deeds show iniquity, and their power rests on their riches, and their faith is in their gods that they have made with their hands, and they deny the name of the Lord of spirits. And they will be driven from the houses of his congregation and of the faithful who depend on the name of the Lord of spirits. And in those days, the prayer of the righteous and the blood of the righteous will have ascended from the earth in front of the Lord of spirits. And in these days, the holy ones who live in heaven above will unite with one voice and supplicate and pray and praise and give thanks and bless in the name of the Lord of spirits, because of the blood of the righteous that has been poured out, and because of the prayer of the righteous, so that it may not cease in front of the Lord of spirits, so that justice might be done to them, and that their patience may not have to last forever. And in those days I saw the head of days sit down on the throne of his glory, and the books of the living were opened in front of him, and all his host, which dwell in the heavens above, and his council were standing in front of him. And the hearts of the holy ones were full of joy that the number of righteousness had been reached, and the prayer of the righteous had been heard, and the blood of the righteous had not been required in front of the Lord of spirits. And in that place I saw an inexhaustible spring of righteousness, and many springs of wisdom surrounded it. And all the thirsty drank from them and were filled with wisdom, and their dwelling was with the righteous and the holy and the chosen. And at that hour that Son of Man was named, in the presence of the Lord of spirits, and his name brought to the head of days. Even before the sun and the constellations were created, before the stars of heaven were even made, his name was named in front of the Lord of spirits. He will be a staff to the righteous and the holy, so that they may lean on him and not fall. And he will be the light of the nations, and he will be the hope of those who grieve in their hearts. And all those who dwell upon the dry ground will fall down and worship in front of him, and they will bless and praise and celebrate with psalms the name of the Lord of spirits. And because of this he was chosen and hidden in front of him before the world was created and forever. But the wisdom of the Lord of spirits has revealed him to the holy and the righteous, for he has kept safe the lot of the righteous. For they have hated and rejected this world of iniquity, and all its works and its ways they have hated in the name of the Lord of spirits. For in his name they are saved, and he is the one who will require their lives. And in those days the kings of the earth, and the strong who possess the dry ground, will have downcast faces because of the works of their hands, and for on the day of their distress and trouble they will not save themselves. And I will give them into the hands of my chosen ones, like straw in the fire and like lead in water. So they will burn in front of the righteous and sink in front of the holy, and no trace will be found of them. And on the day of their trouble there will be rest on the earth, and they will fall down in front of him and will not rise. And there will be no one who will take them with his hands and raise them, for they denied the Lord of spirits and his Messiah. May the name of the Lord of spirits be blessed. For wisdom has been poured out like water, and glory will not fail in front of him forever and ever. For he is powerful, and all the secrets of righteousness and iniquity will pass away like a shadow, and will have no existence. For the chosen one stands in front of the Lord of spirits, and his glory is forever and ever, and his power for all generations. And in him dwell the spirit of wisdom, and the spirit that gives understanding, and the spirit of knowledge and of power, and the spirit of those who sleep in righteousness. And he will judge the things that are secret, and no one will be able to say an idle word in front of him, for he has been chosen in front of the Lord of spirits in accordance with his wish. And in those days a change will occur for the holy and the chosen. The light of days will rest upon them, and glory and honor will return to the holy. And on the day of trouble, calamity will be heaped up over the sinners, but the righteous will conquer in the name of the Lord of spirits, and he will show this to others so that they might repent and abandon the works of their hands. And they will have no honor in front of the Lord of spirits, but in his name they will be saved, and the Lord of spirits will have mercy on them, for his mercy is great. And he is righteous in his judgment, and in front of his holy iniquity will not be able to stand against his judgment. He who does not repent will be destroyed. and from then on I will not have mercy on them, says the Lord of spirits. And in those days the earth will return that which has been entrusted to it, and Sheol will return that which has been entrusted to it, and that which it has received, and destruction will return what it owes. And he will choose the righteous and the holy from among them, for the day has come near when they must be saved. And in those days the chosen one will sit on his throne, and all the secrets of wisdom will flow out from the counsel of his mouth. For the Lord of spirits has appointed him and glorified him. And in those days the mountains will leap like rams, and the hills will skip like lambs, satisfied with milk, and all will become angels in heaven. Their faces will shine with joy, for in those days the chosen one will have risen, and the earth will rejoice, and the righteous will dwell upon it, and the chosen will walk upon it. And after those days, in that place where I had seen all the visions of that which is secret, for I had been carried off by a whirlwind, and they had brought me to the west. There my eyes saw the secrets of heaven, everything that will occur on earth, a mountain of iron, a mountain of copper, a mountain of silver, and a mountain of gold, and a mountain of soft metal, and a mountain of lead. And I asked the angel who went with me, saying, What are these things which I have seen in secret? And he said to me, All these things which you have seen serve the authority of his Messiah, so that he may be strong and powerful on the earth. And that angel of peace answered me, saying, Wait a little, and you will see. And everything which is secret, which the Lord of spirits has established, will be revealed to you. And these mountains that you have seen, the mountain of iron, and the mountain of copper, and the mountain of silver, and the mountain of gold, and the mountain of soft metal, and the mountain of lead, all these in front of the chosen one will be like wax before fire, and like the water that comes down from above onto these mountains, they will be weak under his feet. And it will come to pass in those days that neither by gold nor by silver will men save themselves. They will be unable to save themselves or to flee. And there will be neither iron for war, nor material for a breastplate. Bronze will be no use, and tin will be of no use, and will count for nothing, and lead will not be wanted. All these will be wiped out and destroyed from the face of the earth when the chosen one appears in front of the Lord of spirits. And there my eyes saw a deep valley, and its mouth was open, and all those who dwell upon dry ground and the sea and the islands will bring gifts and presents and offerings to him, but that deep valley will not become full. And their hands commit evil, and everything at which the righteous toil the sinners evilly devour, and so the sinners will be destroyed from in front of the Lord of spirits, and will be banished from the face of his earth unceasingly forever and ever. For I saw the angels of punishment going and preparing all the instruments of Satan. And I asked the angel of peace who went with me, and I said to him, These instruments, for whom are they preparing them? And he said to me, They are preparing these for the kings and the powerful of this earth, so that by means of them they may be destroyed. And after this the righteous and chosen one will cause the house of his congregation to appear. From then on, in the name of the Lord of spirits, they will not be hindered. And in front of him these mountains will not be firm like the earth, and the hills will be like a spring of water, and the righteous will have rest from the ill treatment of the sinners. And I looked and turned to another part of the earth, and I saw there a deep valley with burning fire. And they brought the kings and powerful and threw them into that valley. And there my eyes saw how they made instruments for them, iron chains of immeasurable weight. And I asked the angel of peace who went with me, saying, These chain instruments, for whom are they being prepared? And he said to me, These are being prepared for the host of Azazel, so that they may take them and throw them into the lowest part of hell, and they will cover their jaws with rough stones, as the Lord of spirits commanded. And Michael and Gabriel and Raphael and Phanuel, these will take hold of them on that great day, and throw them on that day into the furnace of burning fire, so that the Lord of spirits may take vengeance on them for their iniquity. In that they became servants of Satan, and led astray those who dwell upon the dry ground. And in those days the punishment of the Lord of spirits will go out, and all the storehouses of the waters which are above the sky and under the earth will be opened. And all the waters will be joined with the waters that are above the sky. The water that is above the sky is male, and the water that is under the earth is female. And all those who dwell upon the dry ground and those who dwell under the ends of heaven will be wiped out. And because of this they will acknowledge their iniquity which they have committed on the earth, and through this they will be destroyed. And after this the head of days repented and said, I have destroyed to no purpose all those who dwell upon the dry ground. And he swore by his great name, From now on I will not act like this towards all those who dwell upon the dry ground. And I will put a sign in heaven, and it will be a pledge of faith between me and them forever, so long as heaven is above the earth. And this will be in accordance with my command, when I want to take hold of them with the hands of the angels on the day of distress and pain, in the face of my anger and my wrath and my anger will remain upon them, says the Lord of the spirits. You powerful kings who dwell upon the dry ground will be obliged to watch my chosen ones sit down on the throne of my glory and judge in the name of the Lord of spirits, Azazel, and all his associates and all his host. And I saw there the host of the angels of punishment as they went, and they were holding chains of iron and bronze. And I asked the angel of peace who went with me, saying, To whom are those who are holding the chains going? And he said to me, Each to his own chosen ones, and to their beloved ones, so that they may be thrown into the chasm in the depths of the valley. And then that valley will be filled with their chosen and beloved ones, and the days of their life will be at an end, and the days of their leading astray will no longer be counted. And in those days the angels will gather together, and will throw themselves towards the east. Upon the Parthians and Medes they will stir up the kings, so that a disturbing spirit will come upon them, and they will drive them from their thrones. And they will come out like lions from their lairs, and like hungry wolves in the middle of their flocks. And they will go up and trample on the land of my chosen ones. And the land of my chosen ones will become before them a tramping ground and a beaten track. But the city of my righteous ones will be a hindrance to their horses, and they will stir up slaughter amongst themselves, and their own right hand will be strong against them. And a man will not admit to knowing his neighbor, or his brother, nor a son his father, or his mother, until, through their death, there are corpses enough, and their punishment it will not be in vain. And in those days Sheol will open its mouth, and they will sink into it and their destruction. Sheol will swallow up the sinners in front of the faces of the chosen. And it came to pass after this, that I saw another host of chariots with men riding on them. And they came upon the wind from the east and from the west to the south. And the sound of the noise of their chariots was heard. And when this occurred, the holy ones observed it from heaven, and the pillars of the earth were shaken from their foundations, and the sound was heard from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven throughout the day. And all will fall down and worship the Lord of spirits. And this is the end of the second parable. And I began to speak the third parable, about the righteous and about the chosen. Blessed are you, the righteous and the chosen, for your lot will be glorious. And the righteous will be in the light of the sun, and the chosen in the light of eternal life. And there will be no end to the days of their life, and the days of the holy will be without number. And they will seek the light, and will find righteousness with the Lord of spirits. Peace be to the righteous with the Lord of the world. And after this it will be said to the holy, that they should seek in the heaven the secrets of righteousness, the lot of faith. For it has become bright as the sun upon the dry ground, and darkness has passed away. And there will be ceaseless light, and to a limit of days they will not come, for darkness will have been destroyed previously. And the light will endure in front of the Lord of the spirits, and the light of uprightness will endure in front of the Lord of spirits, forever. And in those days my eyes saw the secrets of the flashes of lightning, and the lights, and the regulations governing them, and they flash for a blessing or a curse, as the Lord of Spirit wishes. And there I saw the secrets of the thunder, and how when it crashes in heaven above the sound of it is heard. And they showed me the dwellings of the dry ground, and the sound of the thunder, for peace and for blessing, or for a curse, according to the word of the Lord of Spirits. And after this, all the secrets of the lights, and of the flashes of lightning were shown to me. They flash to bring blessing and satisfaction. In the 50th year, in the 7th month, on the 14th day of the month of the life of Enoch, in that parable, I saw how the heaven of heavens was shaken violently, and the host of the Most High and the angels, 1,000 thousands and 10,000 times 10,000, were extremely disturbed. And then I saw the head of days sitting on the throne of his glory, and the angels and righteous were sitting around him. And a great trembling seized me, and fear took hold of me, and my loins collapsed and gave way, and my whole being melted, and I fell upon my face. And the holy Michael sent another holy angel, one of the holy angels, and he raised me. And when he raised me, my spirit returned, for I had been unable to endure the sight of that host, and the disturbance, and the shaking of heaven. And the holy Michael said to me, What sight has disturbed you like this? Until today has the day of his mercy lasted, and he has been merciful and long-suffering towards those who dwell upon the dry ground. And when the day, and the power, and the punishment, and the judgment come that the Lord of Spirits has prepared for those who worship the righteous judgment, and for those who deny the righteous judgment, and for those who take his name in vain, and that day has been prepared, for the chosen a covenant, for the sinners a visitation. And on that day 2 monsters will be separated from one another, a female monster whose name is Leviathan, to dwell in the depths of the sea above the springs of the waters. And the name of the male is Behemoth, who occupies with his breast an immense desert named Dindane, on the east of the garden where the chosen and the righteous dwell, where my great-grandfather was received, who was 7th from Adam, the first man whom the Lord of Spirits made. And I asked that other angel to show me the power of those monsters, how they were separated on one day and thrown, one into the depths of the sea, and the other onto dry ground of the desert. And he said to me, Son of man, you here wish to know what is secret. And the other angel spoke to me, the one who went with me, and showed me what is secret, what is first and last in heaven, in the heights, and under the dry ground, in the depths, and at the ends of heaven, and at the foundations of heaven, and in the storehouses of the winds, and how the spirits are distributed, and how they are weighed, and how the springs and the winds are counted according to the power of their spirit, and the power of the light of the moon, and the divisions of the stars according to their names, and how all the divisions are made, and the thunder according to the places where it falls, and all the divisions that are made in lightning, so that it may flash, and its host, how quickly they obey. For the thunder have fixed intervals, which have been given to its sound for waiting, and the thunder and the lightning are not separate, although not the same. Through a spirit the two of them move inseparably. For when the lightning flashes, the thunder utters its voice, and the Spirit at the proper time causes it to rest, and divides equally between them, because the storehouse of the times for their occurrence is like that of the sand, and each of them at the proper time is held by a rein, and turned back by the power of the Spirit, and likewise driven forward according to the number of the regions of the earth. And the spirit of the sea is male and strong, and according to the power of its strength, the Spirit turns it back with a rein, and likewise it is driven forward and scattered amongst all the mountains of the earth. And the spirit of the hoarfrost is its own angel, and the spirit of the hail is a good angel. And the spirit of the snow has withdrawn because of its power, and it has a special spirit. And that which rises from it is like smoke, and its name is frost. And the spirit of the mist is not associated with them in their storehouse, but has a special storehouse. For its course is glorious, both in light and darkness, and in winter and in summer, and its storehouse is an angel. The spirit of the dew has its dwelling at the ends of heaven and is connected with the storehouses of the rain, and its course is in winter and in summer, and its clouds. And the clouds of the midst are associated, and one gives to the other. And when the spirit of the rain moves from its storehouse, the angels come and open the storehouse and bring it out. And when it is scattered over all the dry ground, it joins with all the water that is on the dry ground. And whenever it joins with the water, that is on the dry ground. For the waters are for those who dwell upon the dry ground, for they are nourishment for the dry ground from the Most High who is in heaven. Therefore, there is a fixed measure for the rain, and the angels comprehend it. All these things I saw towards the garden of righteousness. And the angel of peace who was with me said to me, These two monsters, prepared in accordance with the greatness of the Lord, will feed them that punishment of the Lord. And children will be killed with their mothers, and sons with their fathers. When the punishment of the Lord of spirits rests upon them, it will remain resting, so that the punishment of the Lord of spirits may not come in vain upon these. Afterwards the judgment will be according to his mercy and his patience. And in those days I saw long cords given to those angels, and they acquired wings for themselves, and flew, and went towards the north. And I asked the angel, saying, Why did these take the long cords and go? And he said to me, They went so that they may measure. And the angel who went with me said to me, These will bring the measurements of the righteous, and the ropes of the righteous to the righteous, that they may rely on the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. The chosen will begin to dwell with the chosen, and these measurements will be given to faith, and will strengthen the righteousness. And these measurements will reveal all the secrets of the depths of the earth, and those who were destroyed by the desert, and those who were devoured by the fish of the sea and by animals, that they may return and rely on the day of the chosen one. For no one will be destroyed in front of the Lord of spirits, and no one can be destroyed. And all those in the heavens above received a command, and power, and one voice, and one light like fire was given to them. And him, before everything, they blessed, and exalted, and praised in wisdom. And they showed themselves wise in speech, and in the spirit of life. And the Lord of spirits set the chosen one on the throne of his glory, and he will judge all the works of the holy ones in heaven above, and in the balance he will weigh their deeds. And when he lifts his face to judge their secret ways according to the word of the name of the Lord of spirits, and their path according to the way of the righteous judgment of the Lord Most High, they will all speak with one voice, and bless, and praise, and exalt, and glorify the name of the Lord of spirits. And he will call all the host of the heavens, and all the holy ones above, and the host of the Lord, the cherubim, the seraphim, and the ophanim, and all the angels of power, and all the angels of the principalities, and the chosen one, and the other host that is upon the dry ground, and over the water on that day. And they will raise one voice, and will bless, and praise, and glorify, and exalt in the spirit of faith, and in the spirit of wisdom, and of patience, and in the spirit of mercy, and in the spirit of justice, and of peace, and in the spirit of goodness. And they will all say with one voice, Blessed is he, and blessed be the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. All those who do not sleep in heaven above will bless him. All his holy ones who are in heaven will bless him, and all the chosen ones who dwell in the garden of life, and every spirit able to bless, and praise, and exalt, and hallow your holy name. And all flesh which to the limit of its power will praise and bless your name forever and ever. For great is the mercy of the Lord of spirits, and he is long-suffering, and all his works and all his forces, as many as he has made, he has revealed to the righteous and the chosen in the name of the Lord of spirits. And thus the Lord commanded the kings, and the mighty, and the exalted, and those who dwell upon the earth, and said, Open your eyes, and raise your horns, if you are able to acknowledge the chosen one. And the Lord of spirits sat on his throne of glory, and the spirit of righteousness was poured out on him. And the word of his mouth kills all the sinners and all the lawless, and they are destroyed in front of him. And on that day all the kings and the mighty and the exalted, and those who possess the earth, will stand up, and they will see and recognize how he sits on the throne of his glory. And the righteous are judged in righteousness in front of him, and no idle word is spoken in front of him. And pain will come upon them as upon a woman in labor, for whom giving birth is difficult when her child enters the mouth of the womb. And she has difficulty giving birth. And one half of them will look at the other, and they will be terrified, and will cast down their faces, and pain will take hold of them when they see that Son of Woman sitting on the throne of his glory. And the mighty kings and all those who possess the earth will praise and bless and exalt him who rules everything that is hidden. For from the beginning that Son of Man was hidden, and the Most High kept him in the presence of his power, and revealed him only to the chosen. And the community of the holy and the chosen will be sown, and all the chosen will stand before him on that day. And all the mighty kings and the exalted and those who rule the dry ground will fall down before him on their faces and worship. And they will set their hopes on that Son of Man, and will entreat him, and will petition for mercy from him. But the Lord of spirits will then so press them that they will hasten to go out from before him, and their faces will be filled with shame, and the darkness will grow deeper on their faces. And the angels of punishment will take them, so that they may repay them for the wrong that they did to his children and to his chosen ones. And they will become a spectacle to the righteous and to his chosen ones. They will rejoice over them, for the anger of the Lord of spirits will rest upon them, and the sword of the Lord of spirits will be drunk with them. And the righteous and the chosen will be saved on that day, and they will never see the faces of the sinners and the lawless from then on. And the Lord of spirits will remain over them, and with that Son of Man they will dwell and eat and lie down and rise up forever and ever. And the righteous and chosen will have risen from the earth, and will have ceased to cast down their faces, and will have put on the garment of life. And this will be a garment of life from the Lord of spirits, and your garments will not wear out, and your glory will not fail in front of the Lord of spirits. In those days the mighty kings who possess the dry ground will entreat the angels of his punishment to whom they have been handed over, so that they might give them a little respite, and so that they might fall down and worship in front of the Lord of spirits and confess their sins in front of him. And they will bless and praise the Lord of spirits and say, Blessed be the Lord of spirits, and the Lord of kings, the Lord of the mighty, and the Lord of the rich, and the Lord of glory, and the Lord of wisdom. And everything secret is clear in front of you, and your power is for all generations, and your glory is forever and ever. Deep and without number are all your secrets, and your righteousness is beyond reckoning. Now we realize that we ought to praise and bless the Lord of kings, and the one who is king over all kings. And they will say, Would that we might be given a respite, so that we might praise and thank and bless him, and make our confession in front of his glory. And now we long for a respite, but do not find it. We are driven off and do not obtain it. And the light has passed away from before us, and darkness will be our dwelling forever and ever. For we have not made our confession before him, and we have not praised the name of the Lord of kings, and we have not praised the Lord for all his works, but our hopes have been on the scepter of our kingdom and of our glory. And on the day of our affliction and distress he does not save us, and he will find no respite to make our confession that our Lord is faithful in all his doings, and in all his judgments and his justice, and that his judgments show no respect for persons. And we pass away from in front of him because of all our works, and all of our sins have been counted exactly. Then they will say to them, Our souls are sated with possessions gained through iniquity, but they do not prevent our going down into the flames of the torment of Sheol. And after this their faces will be filled with darkness and shame in front of that Son of Man, and they will be driven away from him, and the sword will dwell among them in front of him. And thus says the Lord of spirits, This is the law and the judgment for the mighty, and the kings, and the exalted, and for those who possess the dry ground in front of the Lord of the spirits. And I saw other figures hidden in that place. I heard the voice of the angel saying, These are the angels who came down from heaven onto the earth and revealed what is secret to the sons of men, and led astray the sons of men, so that they committed sin. And in those days Noah saw the earth had tilted, and that its destruction was near. And he set off from there and went to the ends of the earth, and cried out to his great-grandfather Enoch. And Noah said 3 times in a bitter voice, "Hear me, hear me, hear me." And he said to him, "Tell me, what is it that is being done on the earth, that the earth is so afflicted and shaken, lest I be destroyed with it?" And immediately there was a great disturbance on the earth, and a voice was heard from heaven, and I fell upon my face. And my great-grandfather Enoch came, stood by me, and said to me, "Why did you cry out to me with such bitter crying and weeping?" And a command has gone out from the Lord against those who will dwell upon the dry ground, that this must be their end. For they have learnt all the secrets of the angels, and all the wrongdoings of the Satans, and all their secret power, and all the power of those who practice magic arts, and the power of enchantments, and the power of those who cast molten images from all the earth. And further, how silver is produced from the dust of the earth, and how soft metal occurs on the earth. For lead and tin are not produced from the earth. Like the former, there is a spring which produces them, and an angel who stands in it, and that angel distributes them. And after this my great-grandfather Enoch took hold of me with his hand, and raised me, and said to me, "Go, for I have asked the Lord of spirits about this disturbance on the earth." And he said to me, "Because of their iniquity their judgment has been completed, and they will no longer be counted before me. Because of their sorceries they have searched out and learnt, the earth and those who dwell upon it will be destroyed. And for these there will be no place of refuge forever, for they showed to them what is secret, and they have been condemned. But not so for you, my son. The Lord of spirits knows that you are pure and innocent of this reproach concerning the secrets. And he has established your name among the holy, and will keep you from amongst those who dwell upon the dry ground. And he has destined your offspring in righteousness to be kings and for great honors. And from your offspring will flow out a spring of the righteous and holy, without number forever." And after this he showed me the angels of punishment, who were ready to come and release all the forces of the water which is under the earth, in order to bring judgment and destruction on all those who reside and dwell upon the dry ground. And the Lord of spirits commanded the angels who were coming out not to raise their hands, but to keep watch, for those angels were in charge of the forces of the waters. And I came out from before Enoch. And in those days the word of the Lord came to me, and he said to me, "Noah, behold, your lot has come up before me, a lot without reproach, a lot of love and uprightness. And now the angels are making a wooden structure, and when the angels come out from that task, I will put my hand on it and keep it safe. And a change shall take place, so that the dry ground may not remain empty. And I will establish your offspring before me forever and ever, and I will scatter those who dwell with you over the face of the dry ground. I will not again put them to the test on the face of the earth, but they will be blessed and increase on the dry ground in the name of the Lord. And they will shut up those angels who showed iniquity in that burning valley, which my great-grandfather Enoch had shown to me previously in the west, near the mountains of gold and silver and iron and soft metal and tin. And I saw that valley, in which there was a great disturbance, and a heaving of the waters. And when all this happened, from the fiery molten metal and the disturbance, which disturbed the waters in that place, a smell of sulfur was produced, and it was associated with those waters. And that valley of the angels, who led men astray, burns under the ground. And through the valleys of that same area flow out rivers of fire, where those angels will be punished, who led astray those on the dry ground. And in those days those waters will serve the kings, and the mighty, and the exalted, and those who dwell upon dry ground, for the healing of their soul and body, but also for the punishment of the spirit. And their spirits are so full of lust that they will be punished in their bodies, for they denied the Lord of spirits. And they see their punishment every day, yet they do not believe in his name. And the more their bodies are burnt, the more a change will come over their spirits forever and ever. For no one can speak an idle word in front of the Lord of spirits. For judgment will come upon them, for they believe in the lust of their bodies, but deny the Spirit of the Lord. And those same waters will undergo a change in those days. For when those angels are punished in those days, the temperature of those springs of water will change. And when the angels come up, that water of the springs will change and become cold. And I heard the holy Michael answering and saying, This judgment with which the angels are judged is a testimony for the kings and the mighty who possess the dry ground. For these waters of judgment serve for the healing of the bodies of the kings and for the lust of their bodies. But they do not see and they do not believe that these waters will change and will become a fire which burns forever. And after this, my great-grandfather Enoch gave me the explanation of all the secrets in a book and the parables that had been given to him, and he put them together for me in the words of the book of parables. And on that day the holy Michael answered Raphael, saying, The power of the Spirit seizes me and makes me tremble because of the harshness of the judgment of the angels. Who can endure the harshness of the judgment which has been executed and before which they melt with fear? And the holy Michael answered Raphael again and said to him, Who would not soften his heart over it, and whose mind would not be disturbed by this word? Judgment has gone out against them upon those whom they have led out like this. But it came to pass when he stood before the Lord of spirits that the holy Michael spoke as follows to Raphael, I will not take the part under the eye of the Lord, for the Lord of spirits is angry with them, because they act as if they were the Lord. Because of this, the hidden judgment will come upon them forever and ever, for neither any other angel nor any man will receive their lot, but they alone have received their judgment forever and ever. And after this judgment I will terrify them and make them tremble, for they have shown this to those who dwell upon the dry ground. And behold, the names of those angels. The first of them is Simyaza, and the second Artakepha, and the third Armin, and the fourth Kokabiel, and the fifth Turiel, and the sixth Ramiel, and the seventh Daniel, and the eighth Nuquel, and the ninth Baraquiel, and the 10th Azazel, and the 11th Armoros, the 12th Batriel, the 13th Bazazel, the 14th Ananel, the 15th Turiel, the 16th Samsiel, the 17th Yedarel, the 18th Tumiel, the 19th Turiel, the 20th Rumiel, and the 21st Azazel. And these are the chiefs of their angels, and the names of the leaders of hundreds, and their leaders of 50s, and their leaders of 10s. The name of the first is Yakun. This is the one who led astray all the children of the holy angels, and he brought them down unto the ground, and led them astray through the daughters of men. And the name of the second is Asbiel. This one suggested an evil plan to the children of the holy angels and led them astray, so that they corrupted their bodies with the daughters of men. And the name of the third is Gadriel. This is the one that showed all the deadly blows to the sons of men, and he led astray Eve. And he showed the weapons of death to the children of men, the shield and the breastplate, and the sword for slaughter, and all the weapons of death to the sons of men. And from his hand they have gone out against those who dwell the dry ground from that time and forever and ever. And the name of the fourth is Penemu. This one showed the sons of men the bitter and the sweet, and showed them all the secrets of their wisdom. He taught men the art of writing with ink and paper, and through this many have gone astray, from eternity to eternity and to this day. For men were not created for this, that they should confirm their faith like this, with pen and ink. For men were created no differently from the angels, so that they might remain righteous and pure, and death, which destroys everything, would not have touched them. But through this knowledge of theirs they are being destroyed, and through this power death consumes them. And the name of the fifth is Casdea. This one showed the sons of men all the evil blows of the spirits and of the demons, and the blows that attack the embryo in the womb so that it miscarries, and the blows that attack the soul, the bite of the serpent, and the blows that occur at midday, and the son of the serpent, who is strong. And this is